Hey guys, so in today's video we're going to be talking about seventh chords. So we've kind of briefly gone over what they are, like if you see a chord that says C7, and we've talked about how that's a dominant 7 chord, okay? But there's other kinds of 7 chords as well. You might see C major 7 or C minor 7. So besides just a regular C7 chord, we also have C major 7, C minor 7, and there are other ones as well that we're going to talk about. But I just want you to understand that it's not always just a regular 7th in the chord, and that depends on what the notes are that make up these chords. Okay, and so if we take the C major scale again, and we build our chord off of every other note of the scale, this actually equals a C major 7 chord. So we have a C major 7. All right? So the notes for that are C, E, G, and B. So these 4 notes right here spell out the C major 7 chord. So if we want to spell out the notes for a C7 chord or a C dominant 7 chord, we have to flat the 7th note. So we're going to call this B flat. So now our notes for the chord are C, E, G, and B flat for a C7 chord like that. Okay. Now the next chord would be a C minor 7 chord. Okay. Now a C minor 7 also has a flat 7 just like that, but we're going to have to flat the 3rd to make it a minor chord, like a minor triad. So what we're going to do here is we're going to make E flat. Now we're going to have C, E flat, G, and B flat. Okay. Now if we keep going, what we have here, the next type of 7th chord we use is called minor 7 flat 5. Okay? So it's the same kind of chord as a C minor 7, but we have a flat 5. So if we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 5th is the G. So we're going to have to flat the G to make it a flat 5. So our notes are going to be C, E flat, G flat, and B flat. Okay? This chord is also known as a half diminished chord, but more commonly in jazz you're going to see it written as minor 7 flat 5. But you could also call it this C half diminished 7. So this basically means the same thing as a minor 7 flat 5. The next chord would be a C fully diminished 7th. So for a C diminished 7th, what we're going to do is what we're going to take is our B or our 7th note, and we're going to have to flat it again. So we call that double flat. So B double flat 7. Technically that's also the same note as A, but enharmonically speaking we want to call that a double flat in this case. So our notes for that are going to be C, E flat, G flat, and B double flat. So these are the 5 basic types of 7th chords without any alterations. So later we will learn about how we can alter some of these chords. We can have a major 7 sharp 5, for example, or a dominant 7 sharp 5, for example. But in the beginning you just want to understand these basic 5 7 chords before we get into the alterations. And another way to think about it on the piano is to think of every other note starting from C, C, E, G, and skip one more, and then you have B. So that is a C major 7 chord. That's the first 7 chord. C major 7, C, E, G, B. Then we flat the B here. Now we have C, E, G, B flat. Okay. Then we're going to flat the 3rd. Then we're going to have a minor 7 chord. So that's C, E flat, G, B flat. Okay. Then we're going to do a minor 7 flat 5. And we're going to move this finger over. So now we have C, E flat, G flat, B flat. Okay, and then for the last one, the diminished 7th, we're going to lower the B to a double flat, also A, but we're going to call it B double flat. Okay, so we have C, E flat, G flat, B double flat. Okay, and those are the basic 5 7th chords until we get into the alterations. Okay, and so now we're going to talk about some of the common alterations that you will see with different types of 7th chords. So if we start with our major 7th, we could conceive of, so say we had C, C major 7 sharp 5. So if we took that chord, This would just be the same as a C major 7, but we're going to have a sharp 5. So the notes for that would be C, E, G sharp, because that's the 5th, that's the sharp 5. Okay. Then we're going to have B. So those are the notes for a major 7 sharp 5. If we wanted to have a major 7 flat 5, then the notes would simply be C, E, G flat, and B, because the 5th would be flat. Okay? So again, it's important to understand the basic chord first, so then you know what note is being sharped or flatted and what that would be in that case. Okay? We can also do the same thing with the dominant 7th chord. So if we had C7 sharp 5, we're going to have C, E, G sharp, and then B flat. Because our 7th is still flat because it's a dominant 7th chord. Okay? Or if we had C7 flat 5, that's going to equal C, E, G flat, and B flat. Okay, and so these are basic alterations of the 5th degree to create a major 7 sharp 5, flat 5, or a dominant 7 sharp 5, or flat 5. Now, another type of 7th chord that is used when we use the melodic minor scale is known as the minor major 7th chord. So that is basically, that would be written like this, C minor major 7. So what that means is we have a C minor triad with a major 7th at the end. So the major 7 is a B, just a B natural. So what we're going to do is we're going to go C, E flat, G, and then a B natural. Okay? So C, E flat, G is a minor triad with a regular major 7th at the end. So it's just like a minor 7th chord, except we have a natural 7th being the B instead of a flat 7 that would be in a minor 7th chord. Also, just like we talked about with triads, we can use suspended notes in the 7th chords as well. So the most common way you're going to see that is in a dominant 7th chord. Now, if you remember back to when we did the triads, that means that we're going to have C, and instead of an E, we're going to be suspended on the 2. So that would be a D, because D is the 2 of the C scale. Okay? Then we're going to have a regular G, just the regular 5th. Then we're also going to have a B flat. So this is a C7 sus2 chord. Okay? Now, C7 sus4 is going to be the same concept, but we're going to go to the 4th degree. So past E, we're going to go to F, because that's the 4th of the C scale, right? So we have C, F, G, and then B flat is our flat 7. Okay? So these are pretty common, actually. You will see C dominant 7 sus4 chords in sus2. Now, one other thing I should mention is it's very common to play dominant 7 chords with higher notes of the scale that we call extensions. So once you go past 8, which is the octave, we have the 9th, and then we usually consider the 11th and the 13th also really useful notes and chords that we can use as extensions, which can be sharped or flatted along with the 7th chord. So it's very common to see a dominant chord with a 9 on the top, or a flat 9, or a sharp 9. So there's all kinds of different alterations, but we're going to get into that later when we start talking about chords with higher extensions. But one more type of chord that we should talk about that kind of fits in the 7th chord category is actually a note before the 7th chord, which is known as the 6th chord. Okay, and so with 6th chords, what we're going to think about is we have the 1, the 3, the 5, and the 6th. Instead of going to the 7th, what we're actually going to do is play the 6th note there. So a C6 chord equals C, E, G, and A. Okay? Now, to make a minor 6 chord, we're just going to flat the E. And we're going to have C minor 6. Okay? That's going to be C, E flat, G, and A. Again, because A is the 6th note. So that's what kind of defines these chords. Okay? These are actually slightly less common than a lot of 7th chords. Most people learn to play regular dominant 7th chords or minor 7th chords before they actually learn how to play 6th chords, especially on guitar. But just to understand the concept here, it's the same concept as like a 7th chord, but we're going to have the 6th at the end instead of the 7th degree. Okay? Another thing that's important to note about a 6th chord is even though if a C minor 6th chord has a minor triad in the chord, the 6th of the chord is still a major 6th. So the interval from C to A is a major 6th. So even though it's a minor sixth chord, it contains a major sixth interval in that. And a lot of people don't realize that in the beginning. So minor sixth chord has a flat 3, normal minor triad with a major sixth at the end. And again, once we start learning about higher extensions, we're going to see very common uses of the sixth chord along with a ninth as well. Okay. So in that case, just to think about that, C, D, and if we keep going with the scale, this is the 7th, this is the 8th, so D would be the 9th. So that kind of gives you a preview into what we're going to be doing next, is understanding higher extensions above the octave. So this is the 9th here. So if we add that onto the chord, it creates a whole new chord, and we're going to talk about that later.